Welcome to another episode of From Garage to Growth, and this is the podcast where we venture into the exciting world of entrepreneurship and startups. And on today's episode, we are diving headfirst into the exciting world of startups with a true industry leader, Constantin. And Constantin is the founder of the Berlin Startup School, a powerhouse platform dedicated to helping inspiring entrepreneurs take their ideas from dreams to reality. And he doesn't just build startups; he's also passionate about helping the Berlin startup system thrive. So to get things started, I'd just like to give you the floor, Constantin, to just introduce yourself and give our listeners an idea of who you are.
Thank you so much, first of all, for hosting me. And people always argue whether they can call me Constantin or Tino, so please feel free to share whatever you feel more comfortable with.
What are you comfortable?
That's so Tino. It's more informal. Yeah, I'm originally from Munich and moved to Berlin in 2017, so that's already quite some years ago. Simply because I was looking for a place to realize my own ideas. But I'm personally not a serial founder type. I was working before, especially in marketing and communications. So I moved to Berlin with I had a lot of ideas, let's say like that. And then I was looking for a place to realize them and couldn't find it. Simply because Berlin, at least back then, was not a place for people that are insecure, that are looking for help, but rather are super confident about themselves, about their ideas, right? And can execute them so well that they're just mainly looking for money. So I was there quite lost. I couldn't find a place. I studied here entrepreneurship because I was thinking this is the secret sauce, at least to have at least a master degree if it doesn't work out. And then it turns out that such a place that I was looking for was not existing. And this is when I founded Berlin Startup School during studies at the university. And it was that simple. We gathered people that had also ideas and were lost, were insecure, how to execute it, how to found a company. And from this, we gathered and invited people that had the knowledge to do so, and mixed up and mingled. And from this point on, our first program started with experts that knew how to test ideas. So not necessarily directly founding a company. This is what I learned first myself. Not just why would you found a company. It's better to test it first. And this is how Berlin Startup School started in 2019, then 2 years later.
Oh, damn. Okay, that was like just around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you spoke about this being in a space where you had ideas, but then you couldn't find a place to kind of get your ideas to thrive. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen founders face within the Berlin startup ecosystem, and how does the Berlin Startup School address those challenges?
I think the main point is to give founders the opportunity to test their ideas rather than showing how to found the company directly. Because this is, I think, a common mistake. Still amongst founders or entrepreneurship enthusiasts, you can call them however you want, that they believe, okay, so I want to, or I have an idea and then I should found a company first. But that's quite some effort in Germany. Yeah. So we're pretty strict. We have a lot of regulations, right? That's good on the one hand. On the other hand, there's a lot of paperwork to do. So the good thing that studies back then showed me was I was lucky enough to meet the people that showed me how to develop prototypes and how to test things. And these are so simple hacks, you could call it, that we just shared them amongst the founders and stopped them from directly founding a company without even knowing, well, the idea would make sense at all. Yeah.
Which is the things. So you would rather have someone actually practically go out, try the thing first before they actually even try founding anything?
Yes. So with the programs that we then started, first it was for free. Then we asked a little bit money for it to then again have enough reputation to get funding from the state, and then to offer it for free again to the founders. This is what we're trying to do until today, like also as a social enterprise. And they were always from 0 to maximum 1, I would say. Yeah? So it was really, you had just have the idea, learn how to understand whether it works, whether it's worth taking a more serious step than, for example, to actually found a company, which also gives you some security, in terms of the risk that you take, in terms of whoever might sue you, because you're personally liable first until you found a company. In Germany, we have several ways how you can found a company. And this is how we support founders until today. It's always from 0 to 1. Yes, we do support at this stage with funding, but generally one of the important things is making people aware of ways how to first test the idea, and, which is at least as important as that, to find out whether they are a founder themselves. Yeah. So do you really believe? So of course, in the beginning, they believe in themselves. But they do not know what it takes to be a founder, what to sacrifice. And really often they work a lot on their idea, but you need to take a few more steps further. You need to love your idea so much that you then become an actual founder, right? Everybody says, okay, I have an idea. It's cool, like blah, blah, blah. But how open, what's your mindset in terms of sacrifices? Learning this, and this you can just learn by time. Yeah? It's not just, hey, I go to the notary, I found a company. Yeah. No, that's the simplest thing that you can do. On the journey. Yeah.
So it is that practical application and that actual grind put into the time that if you want to do this, you're going to have to give up quite a lot.
Yeah.
Do you feel that mindset can be taught?
By now, I would say I know that it cannot be taught. I would even say you need to try it out yourself. There's a really common approach that is called like the €1 idea. I guess it's from a professor in Munich that gives his students like €1, and then they go out with this euro and try to get as far as possible found a sort of company. And I do believe that you just learn it by doing. We tried to teach the students, you could call them, right? We're still called Berlin Startup School, so you can call them students. The mindset, what they need to take care of, that they might have problems with their co-founders, right? What it takes to found a company later on. But to be honest, they forgot everything until it was the exact time in which they needed the knowledge, and until then they forgot everything anyway.
That's the thing about knowledge. It stays in your brain, but you need the practical application of it in order to actually understand what the knowledge is, which is kind of the other thing with university. It's more practical. So when you leave university, it's more theory based. So when you leave university, you have the theory, but you don't have the applicability of how to use that theory. So I think that's a gap that exists within university that they need to somewhat bridge to a degree. So when people leave university, they should know how to apply the said knowledge that they've been taught.
Absolutely.
So within the Berlin Startup School, you guys emphasize this notion of diversity and inclusivity. How do you go about achieving those two things within the organization?
English as a first language. That's the first thing. It sounds so funny, right? But Berlin was always international first, but then it's all started at an international university. So this is why, of course, English was first language. There were a lot of students from different countries all over the world, right? And then wanted to found a company. So this was always the first bridge, and everybody could communicate. We were totally open. We didn't say, okay, you just have this idea, we cannot welcome you. But it was like, if you have an idea, no matter what it is, just stop by. And I guess through this environment, a lot of international people joined the workshops, joined the programs. And later on, we sort of decided to become a social enterprise. And with that, also the mission comes to be open for everybody, as simple as it sounds, right? And with that, we had always a lot of people from different countries. I would say, when I look back, how many Berliners did we actually have? Maybe like 5% or so. So it was super diverse right from the start. And on top of that, I would say, we here and there had also workshops about diversity and inclusion. But it's interesting that you say this. So we never obviously made some diversity thing, so to say. It just came out of the nature, most probably from university where it was originally born.
Oh, okay. So there wasn't any actually initial problem to be like, oh, we're going to be promoting diversity. It just naturally happened with everyone coming from different places, being in the same place.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice way to have a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
So you say the project itself, the Berlin Startup School, started for you as a school project, just a thing you were doing, but now it's one of the top 3 accelerators which were within Berlin. So what were some of those decisions and strategies that you implemented that fueled this growth of the Berlin Startup School?
You also said in the beginning that we might be the industry leaders. Really funny. When I look back at 2017, 18, 19, there were barely programs existing for non-serial founders. So maybe if you look back, we could say, okay, we were amongst the first ones to found a super, super early stage incubator accelerator back then, or offer these kind of programs. So maybe, fun fact, we might have been the industry leaders. By now, I would say, how do you define industry leaders? I would say, yes, we are amongst the first ones to offer these kind of programs, but also in a specific way of, okay, you have an idea and you want to turn this into a business. You want to test it first. So we define this role by the amount of people that we support in founding a company and how many of them actually found a company in the very beginning. So I have to really openly say this is a quite subjective thing always to say, are you one of the top 3 or so? Yeah. I'm pretty sure I said this once. So, and the reason was because I'm convinced of what the work we do. We do great work and we get subsidies from the state. This is also really important to mention. As a social enterprise, we don't charge people anymore. But we're lucky enough to get subsidies from the state. And with this tax money, we want to achieve as much as possible. And we want to find the founders, the biggest talent, give them a scholarship, right? This is also a really special acceleration program to give them a scholarship so that they get a monthly scholarship, so they get a few $1,000 to cover their living costs. And then our goal is, of course, that they then actually found a company, and becoming successful is another thing we can argue about. In the first place, it would mean that they can then cover the living cost with the business. So this is just a long story short, how we define that we believe, that we are amongst the best ones in Berlin. But it's also really important to say that when you decide to go on the path of working just with subsidies from the state, is a constant up and down. Yeah. It's not like, okay, you have money now for 5 years. It's rather that you have money for 2 years for a specific program, right? At the moment, for example, our acceleration programs are paused because we didn't receive the funding in the last funding round. Now we need to wait for the next one next year. So I also want to put it into perspective. What does it mean to have a social enterprise also in Germany? Yes, we still have smaller programs running, one-on-one coachings, for example, for unemployed people, for people with the social impact ideas, but the classical accelerator programs, that where you get an actual scholarship, are on hold at the moment until we get new funding. And you can be sure to underline this, perception that we believe that we are amongst the top 3, definitely. We need to get this funding again to continue proving this. Yeah. So if we don't get it again, the heck, okay. Can we then still call ourselves like the top 3? I don't think so. Let's be honest here. So yeah, this is a kind of a pause that we have right now. So yeah, again, I want to be really transparent here. I'm super happy also when other people say that they believe that we are amongst the best ones. In the very end, with this kind of business, it's an up and down, and especially with state-funded. Yeah. So I would say, we are amongst the top ones in state-funded accelerator programs. There are barely ones existing that are company-funded right now because, unfortunately, companies have realized that it's losing money. Yeah. So that's the thing. And so, long story short, what was the question again?
So the question was, you answered it, because the question was around how do you kind of look at the growth that you have and how and what strategies have you applied? So you have answered the question.
Yeah, and communications is quite important, I would say. So talk about what you're doing. Yeah. So we are a super small company. Again, it's connected to the funding. It goes up and down. We're then 1 people, 3 people, sometimes 7 people, 8 people, depending on how much funding we have. Then it goes up and down again. And we are always trying with the manpower that we have to be as communicative as possible in terms of marketing, let's say like this. So we talk about what you're doing, show your successes, and then learn from the mistakes from others. This was also really important because, we might have been amongst the first ones to offer these kind of programs, but there were others like big corporate accelerators before us that tried a lot of things that were not working, or where you could see this needs to be improved. And then as I would say, the main secret sauce there is then people. You need to have great people who do marketing great. That's just one part. The other part is program. You need to have people that execute the programs really well, that actually have knowledge from the practical fields, either founders or experts. And so do great work with great people and then talk about it. And then,
communicate it.
Communicate it. And then, I'm pretty sure that's also a growth mindset that is necessary.
So you touched on the programs that the Bullet Startup School runs with the Startup Incubator Academy, the Impact Accelerator, the individual coaching, and the job coaching. How do you go about selecting people for those specific programs? When if someone comes to you and they're like, maybe I have this idea, but I don't know what to do. How do you group them within those programs?
So, in total, we have, when we talk about programs, so not just one-on-one coaching, we have the Startup Academy, which is the program you just have the idea, nothing else. And then we teach you how to build a prototype, how to test it. This is actually open to as many people as possible, as long as they have a scalable idea which solves an actual problem. So this is really, really important. So in this regard, you could say, okay, so we're not open to everybody, because it still says startup. And startup in this sort of term, we take it literally, or we define it that you also have a scalable solution that solves a problem. And this is from 0 to 1. And then this is for free, but you don't get money. It's once a week. And then we have the actual accelerator, that is state-funded program where you then receive a scholarship over at least half a year, and where you get intense training in the different fields. And I guess it always comes down then to the actual execution, and this comes with experience of the people. So we choose then the people that solve a problem, that is scalable, and that they can contribute to its execution. And this is a great start, at least, that you understand, okay, a lot of people have great ideas. For example, blockchain, now it's not the hype anymore, but we had a lot of applications in terms of blockchain. This is also something where we then need to check, do we have the knowledge in the school that we can support them? Because it also doesn't make sense, right? So that you take an idea that you can support. But there were a lot of people that said, I have a great idea in blockchain, but do you know what blockchain is? I don't know. So, okay, that's a great start. So it's a combination out of the knowledge, the understanding the problem quite well, and actually being able to execute it. So this is a good basis to start with. The next step then might be to have a great team. So, but this is already next step. There are a lot of people out there that are solar founders, and I had a co-founder in the beginning, and then we departed. When I actually founded the company, it was just myself with 2 sort of business angels that helped me to do so. That were a great addition to the team, with a lot of decades of having experience in founding companies. So in the very end, it's the execution idea and the team.
Okay. So with those people applying for them, do they need to be German citizens? Or do you have criteria for them to be, do they have to belong to a certain group in order to apply for those programs?
It depends on the program. The state-funded programs really often, I guess, or nearly all of them, or maybe all of them, at least the ones that we execute, they demand that you are, for example, a Berlin citizen. Why? In the specific case of the accelerator, which we hosted until last year, it was funding from the Berlin Senate. And therefore, they say, okay, so we want you to be here, to be a citizen here, to live here. In other programs that are nationwide founded, from ministry or so, it's easier. Yeah, there we can also support people that are, then, for example, all over Germany. But one of the things is usually necessary to get the support.
Okay. And so you talk about having helped over 100 startups within the Berlin Startup School. How do you measure the success of those individuals, of those founders that you have mentored within the Berlin Startup School?
This also depends on the program. If you take the Startup Academy as an example, from really zero to prototype, we measure who then actually executes their idea. That's the first priority. And the second one is their personal development after having run through the program. Why is that so? Because in such an early stage of developing the idea, you know little about yourself. You know little about your own capabilities and whether you are the person to found a company. But what I do believe in, and here it comes back to sort of teaching, that by trying out an idea, you get to know yourself and you will surely grow, by testing an idea, even when you don't found your company. So in super early stage programs, as I said, like from zero to prototype, for example, we check how do the people develop after the program. Yeah, it's really nice that when they actually realize it, but this rate is really low. I would say around 5%, maybe a little bit more. But we then see, okay, so they were really unhappy in the current job, for example, and then they get a new job. And then, of course, the question is always, what was our contribution to this change? Yeah, it's really hard to measure. But I would say we can quite confidently say that with pitch training, with going out, asking people, hey, how do you like this idea? Here's my prototype, right? People become more confident. And I do believe 100% that there is a relation between testing your own idea and then succeeding in whatever else you're trying to do. Yeah. So this is how we measure success in a super early stage. And when it comes to really the accelerator programs, we measure the success by then having founded the company. This is one of the KPIs. And the second one, being at least able to fund their own life. So this is the second one. We don't necessarily measure success with funding, which they receive, because I'm really happy if they don't need any external funding. Yeah. So there you have two different perspectives, totally depending on the stage. While I believe that we are super successful in the first stage with developing the growth mindset of people, no matter in which direction they go, I also believe that we're really successful in the second step when they actually go out and realize their ideas. And what people don't want to hear is, in a super early stage, it is also our job to tell them, don't do it.
If the idea is not really the right one.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to get up, leave their baby, because your idea is your baby.
Yeah, correct.
And most funders are like, you're just not seeing the vision. And that's generally why people fail, because they don't want to let go of the vision, even though it's not going to be working. So in that instance, if you get individuals that are unwilling to let go of that idea, and you can see that they're heading to a place that's not ideal, how do you maneuver, or how do you help them kind of shift their mindset?
Unfortunately, in most of the cases, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's maybe a good thing. Yeah. So people need to find it out themselves. A mentor once said, you need to realize yourself when you are still riding the dead horse. Yeah. And this most often you can just find out yourself. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I have also seen a few tragic cases where it was way too long, way too much money from their own pockets was spent. Yeah. I don't have a secret for that. I have to be really honest. Really often people realize it themselves. but I've seen also a few cases where it took them
Way
too long to realize it. Some are still trying, but you never know. Huh? Maybe in 5 years, do you know these kind of stories where in 10, 15 years time, they're multimillionaires, so you never know. That's also really hard to say. What I always try to emphasize, whatever we or I myself or a coach, whatever teaches them or gives them feedback in is individual subjective feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no person on earth that can surely say that your idea is not working. Yeah?
Because it's all about testing and proving in order to actually get feedback in people.
Really often it's just also right time, right place.
Yeah, that too. Sometimes maybe you just started way too early, and then 2-3 years down the line, your idea catches fire, and then the blind spits the thing out of the blue.
I have a funny example there, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. A friend of mine during university approached me from Turkey, from Istanbul. Maybe you can already think about which startups came from Istanbul to Berlin and what is happening right now. So I don't spoil it yet. And he was asking me, hey, Tino, so I do believe you're the perfect co-founder for a delivery startup. And I was like, okay, interesting, tell me more. He was like, yeah, so in Istanbul, we have this really famous startup where there is this last mile delivery of groceries, and it's called Get Here. And I believe this is a great idea we should do in Berlin. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm super sorry. I couldn't care less about first last mile delivery and second food. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not passionate about it at all. But I have to say, back then I was just lucky enough to realize that I would not have the passion to work on this idea so long that it might become successful at some point. Yeah. And then 2 years later, Gorilla started, and then Get Here bought Gorillas, and now both of them are going out of Germany and again, and just back to Turkey after 1 billion and billions of money that was run through the system. So, just an example.
I think COVID as well helped accelerate delivery
of course.
ventures dramatically. So that wasn't a good thing to start off at early. But we've been speaking about mindsets and people should do the mindset. How can education and mentorship programs actually address the mindset challenge of people? How does, especially with the startup now, I think the academy you guys run, the first week, the first program you run is on mindset.
Yeah,
why is that?
True. So that's a really super early stage program from idea to prototype, where you get like workshop once a week that a lot of employed people also do to find out whether it's the right idea, the right time, the right place, whether they're the right person to do it. Mindset is therefore really important because we want to show them examples of success and failure to prepare them for their journey that they're going through in the following 3 months of this program. So this is really important, where we just try to give them a better understanding that founding a company or testing an idea is a marathon and definitely not a sprint. And with the 3 months, you know so little that it takes you at least 3 more and maybe 6 more, to take the next steps.
Okay. So I want to touch back on the notion of diversity and inclusivity. You've been in the startup scene for quite a while now.
Yeah.
How have you seen the notion of Berlin being this international city, this hub of multicultures? How is that translated in the startup scene itself with regards to people of color, Black women being involved within the ecosystem?
I mean, the good thing is that Berlin tends to have English as a first language, so that's so unique. You can barely find it in Germany. Yes, Europe. I guess there are a few other hubs, so to say. But this is a good start, first of all. And then the openness in general for cultures, for different point of views, also for institutions, associations that here in Berlin support foreigners or certain diaspora groups, right, that are here. So that's pretty cool. I do believe that the role overall from not only necessarily people of color, but every foreigner that comes to Berlin is to feel at home and included, and not like a kind of exotic person, alien that tries to go into a company and
feel like
to mix and mingle, right? It feels like this is already part of the DNA. So honestly speaking, I don't see in any company, not in a few startups, few companies, yes, but it's similar like English as a connecting language. It feels like it's already part of the DNA, which might be a mistake at the same time too. You believe that you're doing enough to understand other cultures.
Yeah.
I'm sure we don't. Yeah. So at the same time, it's the other side of the medal. You could, so to say, we believe, it's part of our DNA. So everybody's welcome. And just the skills is the important thing, right?
Yeah.
But generally, I even believe that we could do way more, man.
Yeah. Because if you look at the VC funding, only 1% goes to black centric funders. And it's worse if you're applying to women of color. They get way less within the ecosystem already, where the general females already get way less funding. But then you have another hurdle was you are a woman, but you're a woman of color.
True.
So yes, there's this international hub, but at the same time, there's people that are left behind within that international hub.
It needs more role models. So I believe there are different things that need to be developed over time. First, it needs way more role models. Of course, we still live in a patriarchy, obviously, and so it has dozens of white old men as role models. And yes, they trust white young men first. So there, it needs way more role models that push it. I personally, I'm not a big fan of quotes, so to say, because I do believe that there are way more ways to support underrepresented founders. And one is also the mindset. And this is an interesting bridge here between the program that we're offering, although it was never intended, right? That was, hey, you're good enough to found a company. So don't think just because you're underrepresented, that you will not make it. Yeah, you have a family. It will be difficult, but hey, so, there are the first role models out there that are not only female, but there are female people of color that then show, hey, it's possible. It will be still a lot to do. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I guess we're slowly getting there. It needs more time. And I really hope that whatever we believe is already part of our DNA then actually gets executed so well that we get away from these really low numbers of underrepresented founders.
Yeah. So recently you opened up a new program.
Yeah. Community.
So what was the idea about building that platform?
So when we started Berlin Startup School, of course, it was a sort of community of founders. We tried to organize it through Slack, through LinkedIn. Nothing worked so well. We even built our own e-learning platform for the founders. And then we realized, okay, we're not an e-learning company. We're still a company that offers programs for founders. And then we tried to find a hybrid platform that could offer not only chatting, exchanging ideas, but also the possibility of having a library, offering discounts for tools, free ticket to conferences, asking all the questions that you might have in or outside the programs. And then we tried out different tools, and around 1.5 years ago, we found a great new tool. It's called Circle. It's a white label solution. I can just recommend it to everybody. Unfortunately, I'm not getting paid for saying this. There are a lot of other great ones out there too, but I believe that they're doing a great job because you can also brand it however you want. So it feels like an offer also from the school as we would have coded it. And the problem was always that people heard about this community, that they get free tickets and discount tools. But the question was always, okay, do I need to be in a program to join this community, this online community, or what's the deal?
What's the catch?
Yeah. What's the catch? And they were like, yeah, you can join it, but it was always a little bit odd. Yeah, it was okay. This is the Berlin Startup School community. This is actually for the founders of Berlin Startup School. And then it became even more difficult because other institutions didn't have all the kind of added value that we offer on the platform, free tickets, discount tools. I'm always repeating these examples because usually, yes, they have also their Slack community, but not what we offer in this community. And they were never open to send their founders to a Berlin Startup School community. I get it. So it's like, hey, why should we send? Even when you offer greater stuff than us, it doesn't make sense. And then we decided, okay, we will make a new brand out of it. and separate programs, that is then the Berlin Startup School, and community, and make it a new brand that is now called House of Startups. That makes it, first of all, from the name really obvious that everybody's welcome, and it's not attached to a program, to an accelerator, but everybody is welcome in there. And second, the name, it's English, what we say, so a combination from German and English, because house is not spelled like the English house, but like the German house. And we were lucky enough. Also, there was a fun fact I need to mention it here. There was another incubator that had the same name idea. They even were close to executing it as the community. Yeah. And I was like, such a cool name, but okay, they were first, and then they didn't execute. And then we were lucky enough to ask them, hey, is it possible to get this name? Nice. So actually the props of the name, at least house goes to another accelerator. And, I was like, hey, I want to make this, an English name. And they said, yeah, okay, so we don't do it anyway. Take it. So I'm really happy that they said it's fine. So, and with this, we're offering a place for people all around the world to get these benefits. They can register for free on the platform. And of course, Berlin is at the moment our hub when we do community events. But hey, we have also so many things. They're totally independent from location, whether it's online webinars or discount for tools that can be used all around the world, obviously.
Yeah, so the notion of community building is it's a big thing that's been happening now recently. Do you think it's better for funders to kind of venture into the idea of finding communities before, let's say, building a product or MVP, like they work with building communities for their products before doing anything else?
I believe that they should, yes, to answer your question straight away, yes, they should experience the feeling in a company and with having other people around you that have the same struggles to exchange knowledge, exchange ideas. Because with this, you take the first step in talking about your idea. And this is already a big problem that a lot of people have. I believe a big mistake that they lock themselves up at home and they just work on the idea without talking to anybody. And really often this idea exists already or has been executed 15 years ago and didn't work out. So why is now the right time that it should? So I said, community first, exchange. And then I believe it's also an interesting hack to have two kind of communities. The first community is the one that you're really close to because you're a people of color, for example, or you are a female founder. So find a niche either from your idea or from your origin, whatever makes you feel comfortable to talk about this idea. To not be afraid of sharing details, exchanging knowledge, be open to learn also from others. And then the second one is maybe a more broader community where you then, or an accelerator, incubator, where you then get the support that is not necessarily exchanging knowledge, but getting the added value benefits that somebody can offer you. I believe it's a combination.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we're going to move the conversation a little bit to something that I think you ran a free programs a few years ago, the 4-week work thing. How did you go about starting that program? What brought on that idea?
So, I'm always really open about the circumstances also. Yeah. So when I'm talking about, hey, so are we amongst the best ones? I guess it's always a thing of perception. Yeah. What about the 4-day work week? Yeah, we executed well enough, but it's always important to mention the circumstance and the disclaimer. Yeah. And this is why it's really transparently saying, yes, it worked out the 4-day work week, but it was also in a really special situation. We started as a social enterprise with zero money, and even as a social enterprise, you need to make money. So we asked our founders for a small fee to join the program. Yeah, that's how we started. And with the reputation of having helped so many founders, we then went to the state and asked for funding so that we can offer these kind of things for free. With that being said, we then had a few bucks on the bank account, but the decision was quite simple. So we could either employ less people with a 5-day work week, or we could employ half person more, so to say, because if everybody goes and works a 4-day work week, we can save money. This, of course, in combination with always my perception of the Friday as the lazy day. Something. Yeah, I was always, I worked so long in my life that I was always, believing, hey, okay, so Friday you do everything in your own pace. More to say, okay, if you cut this 5th day, I believe that you can do the same stuff in 4 days. So with having not so much money in the bank account or wanting to employ more people and this at least intrusive thought, yeah, hey, you can work more in less time. I started the 4-day work week with the first employees. That's also really important to mention because a lot of people have the misperception. Okay, if you are talking about the 4-day work week, there might have been the really difficult situation. What happens with people who are 5 days and then only work 4 days? You shift to 4 days. So we didn't have the situation. We had the situation from 0 to 4, so to say. Mm-hmm. And then the result was that the creative employees in terms of marketing, communications, yes, also like a little bit program management, they could do the exact same work in 4 days time. And the admin employees couldn't. So we always took the example, okay, how many days did they work in the former job? Yeah. With this similar workload. And then the theory was, okay, they can do it also in 4 days, but with the admin, like counting, etc., it became really obvious right from the start that when they have more time, they can also do more paperwork.
Yeah. Then you can cover the work that's been waiting.
So having started with the 4-day work week, some of them transitioned to the 5-day work week as soon as we made more money. We told them, hey, okay, listen, you have now the possibility to transition into 5 days with getting then also, I guess it's 20% more time. I guess it's 1 day, I guess 20% more salary.
Okay.
Not all of them wanted to do this, but the admin people wanted to do this. My learning is pretty simple. You should have this flexibility overall, whether it's a 4-day work week or a 5-day work week. Be aware of the fact that admin related jobs can always do more in more time. Yeah. And that's the overall conclusion, pay them more money.
So with work changing dramatically, especially during COVID, with remote work becoming a thing, hybrid work is a thing now. How do you foresee the future of work looking like in the next 10 or 20 years?
I believe that the hybrid model will become the most famous one. Yeah. So I see in most of the companies that try to force people to go back to the office that they can do this for maximum like 3 days a week, like maybe something like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I sort of see that it's good to have a hub to be able to meet in person. It gives a totally different vibe, a totally different work ethics. Yeah, I totally believe so. So I believe in 10 years time, you can, for most of the companies, choose whether you want to do a 4-day or 5-day work week that is mostly then hybrid, which says, okay, there is at least 1, 2, or maybe 3 work days which we meet there. We have our in-person meetings, and for the rest, you can organize yourself. Yeah. And I do believe that this is for most of the companies that are not in the manufacturing space, right? So 4-day work week and offering this is a privilege. In a lot of industries, there is no possibility to offer even home office. Yeah. So I guess we need to definitely mention this. But I do believe that the hybrid workspace becomes one of the most prominent examples of this whole transition into modern working. While I also think that a lot of companies also, and this is also connected to the work days, or maybe I should say it's even development, which I would like even more. Mm-hmm. Clear goals, no time commitment. You have this goal which you need to achieve. So also we are working with OKRs in the school, and I don't care in which time you reach them. Yeah. So this is, I guess, even then the next step in this whole development. Yeah. Maybe in the moment it's a combination over the next 5 to 10 years, but this is a goal-centered working approach rather than a time-centered
approach. Yeah, which is great. I think people need a work-life balance.
Mm.
And what's your take on, especially as a founder, people who start businesses early, how do you kind of get them to the point where they have a work startup balance in terms of actually living a life and not just being drained? And because as a founder, you are alone most of the time, so depression is a thing. How do you go about teaching the founders that you guys coach how to deal with that?
So first of all, I would say that as a founder, you need to realize that you need to hustle over years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this means sacrificing most of the time is family, and friends time. So this is what you always need to realize, that this is a choice, of course. I would say we don't address this properly enough. Maybe we should do this in the future. But I guess it's quite hard to find also a balance in addressing that, because yes, there are people who are totally against this hustling culture.
Yeah.
And other people who praise it day and night. But I believe, yes, you need to hustle a lot to become successful. And it's not like, you have this dropshipping scenario where you get 10K by working 2 hours a week. This is bullshit. Yeah. So, you need to sacrifice something. And like today I had a call with a coach that, is offering, what is it? The name of that you don't like get into this depression.
Counseling.
Yeah, sort of counseling, and then, resilience topics, right? So how can especially founders develop a resilience or understand early enough that they have worked too much, that they have abandoned friends, family, whatsoever. And unfortunately, I believe this is still a quite hard task, because you, as it really often is, you need to go through that to understand that it's too late. It's a quite hard task. Yeah. And I don't have any special tip. I have to be really honest, because for me, it's work-life integration. It's not even balance. For me, work is life. And yeah, okay, I also go on holidays and then I don't check my emails. I was able to achieve this now once. So, but yeah, I think it's getting more and more. And I believe that I personally feel blessed that it doesn't feel like work. Yes, sometimes it does. I'm not gonna lie. But I have so many ideas, and, I'm so happy of being able to do what I'm doing, that it doesn't feel like work. Still, here and there, my girlfriend says, so, okay, so you're working too much or you're still working. Yeah. So why don't you stop like this? And I guess this doesn't have necessarily to do with the fact, that it might be a work overload, but that somebody from the outside wants to spend time with you. So this is, something that you need to realize early enough. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. So what does success look like for you within the Berlin Startup School?
Yeah. My wish with the school was always to offer a place for people to realize their ideas independent where they come from. And I believe that we are, it's kind of, it's a vision that still we're aiming to get there. But personally, I would say we have achieved quite a lot of this vision already. Success for the school always meant for me to stay truly social, which we have achieved so far. But it was quite hard to realize that, when you want to stay truly social, you need to find sponsorships or funding from the government. You will not have funding every year, every month.
Yeah.
This means, okay, sometimes you're alone again. Sometimes you will have employees. It's an up and down. For me, the school is already a success, because I was able to help a lot of people until here. And with really small resources, we can continue this forever. That's what to say. Yeah. And then when we get funding, we're lucky enough. I get the experts taking care of everything. And if we don't have it, we have a little bit less, social media communication whatsoever. But then, hey, we will start with full throttle again with new employees if we have a program. So in this case, my new dream is that, with these small resources or these little resources, we can continue our work, and that I don't need to be involved on a daily basis and, can work in other projects, which I, of course, do a lot now, but this is what I'm testing now for around 6 to 9 months right now. How far can I go in terms of stepping out from operations?
Yeah.
And that the school can
Operate without
without just, of course, like strategy and funding and this admin wise, of course, I'm happy to do this.
So as we reach the end of our conversation, I usually ask this question to everyone that I have on here is, what advice would you have for inspiring entrepreneurs? And what advice would you have for yourself if you could go back 10, 20 years ago and be like, this is what you needed to do before? What advice would you impart to those people?
I was lucky enough that also my parents always told me try out as many things as possible. So I think I did in my life 8 internships or so. Even like they might have been only 2 weeks, but still, then I knew quite fast what I didn't want to do. And this is, I guess, a really important advice when you are still unsure what to do in life in general. But this is also applicable to an idea. Yeah, try and test out as many ideas as possible, and don't only like go after the money, but like what makes you really happy and still could earn you a living. So this combination, I guess, is really, really important. So the advice is, try out as many things as possible. Meet and talk with as many people as possible about your idea, and then find allies. So, and this only you can do with talking about your idea.
Yeah.
So I guess I started, quite late also talk about the school and the concept and the ideas. Luckily not too late, maybe just a few months. When others do this for decades and then they realize, okay, this idea is not working out. So talk about your idea, try out as many things as possible, and find allies.
Find allies. That's a great way to end the conversation. So that's in from us in terms of our conversation. I just want to give like one thing, like, where can people find you if people are looking to connect with you? Where do they look? So
you can find me on LinkedIn, of course. Just if you enter Tino, I think I'm probably one of the few Tinos out there. That's the first thing. Or Constantin Tino, but try both. Maybe it works. And then the second thing, of course, you can always go to our website, berlinstartupschool.com, check out our programs, especially for those people that are in Germany. Unfortunately, not yet internationally, but for those in Germany. And if you are a founder from wherever in the world, check out houseofstartups.com, house spelled in German, like the German house, which is HAUS, houseofstartups.com. And there you can just join our community for free, check out all the resources, join our online webinars. It's free.
And then thank you so much for being here, Tino.